Welcome everybody, a Film Fan 108 here, and I put in my order weeks ago like many of you did, and the fruits of my wallet's labor are finally paying off with getting the packages in the mail. Yes, the Black Friday packages. I think we all had our little bit of anticipation, didn't we? Yes, we did, man, and me certainly one of them, no doubt about it, man. And this is part 1 of 2 because there's so much Black Friday goodness that, well, I can't just encapsulate it in just one video. I can't, man. So what are we going to be unboxing this time around for good old Black Friday? Well, I got in a little bit of Vincent Lowe. Yes, baby, Vinegar Syndrome. Ooh, man, oh man. When Vinegar Syndrome does Black Friday, you pay attention, okay? There is no doubt about it. We know this for a fact with previous Black Friday years and the great announcements that they made. This year was absolutely no exception, and I took a wee bit of advantage of it. So let's see what I got. And trust me, I definitely made a few purchases. Some that were kind of a little unexpected, others that I was hoping they were going to announce, and indeed, I'm damn glad that they did, because it was all very, very well worth it. Ooh, indeed it was, man. Let's dive into this wonderful, wonderful stack. Indeed, man. And the first one in the stack for the Black Friday love is none other than, very nice, Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Written for the screen and directed by Richard Brooks, starring Diane Keaton, Richard Gere, William Atherton. Oh, you don't remember William Atherton? Yeah, he's the dickless dude in, in Ghostbusters, you know, the EPA guy. Yeah. He's in this. I gotta admit to you guys, when this was announced, I had never heard of Looking for Mr. Goodbar. I'll be perfectly honest with you, man. I was kind of like, at first I thought this was a porno, because sometimes, look, I'm not gonna lie, Vinegar Syndrome does put out stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, what's so special about this? Until I started looking up YouTube clips, stuff on IMDb, and I'm like, dude, this is one of these absolute gems that has gotten lost, buried, and I'm so glad to finally get this thing, because this is really unique and really interesting to me. Look at this, man. Nice. On the back side, and then on the inside here, let's open this up. And I am an old school, like, 70s cinema fan. I mean, I always loved the 80s, and of course I grew up on the 90s stuff, but the 70s was always really unique to me. A lot of the auteur stuff that came out way back in the day, the filmmakers that really came up around that time, and the actors that really were just starting out young, ones that we know, love, and treasure. So it's always been unique and interesting to me. And so to get this is kind of one of those unique things that I'm really glad to have in my hand. The reverse art right here, very nice. Yeah, this looks really, really unique, really fascinating to me. Again, I've never seen this thing, and as somebody who prides himself on seeing a lot of unique and interesting cinema from time to time, the fact that this escaped me just goes to show that, well, not everything is created equal. That's for damn sure, man. I am really looking forward to this, especially as a Diane Keaton fan. Loved her in the Godfather series, of course, Annie Hall, and even as she got older, a lot of the great romantic comedies that she's done. Loved her in Father of the Bride series. I mean, she's always been a rock solid actress that has done some amazing work, and to see her so young in a movie like this, I had to pick it up. There was just no doubt about it, man. I think this is going to be a good one. I've seen the trailers, I've seen clips. It's a blind buy, and I'm trying to get away from blind buying, but at the same time, you know what? There's moments where you just gotta take the leap, you gotta go for it, and this is one of those times where I don't think I'm gonna regret it. I don't think I am, man. Very, very nice. With the hard case. Vinegar Syndrome, man. They definitely know how to do it. And then the second pickup I got, this was an absolute no-brainer. And it kind of had a wild debate once it got announced, right? Because some people really dig the film, some people absolutely downright hate the movie, and other people are in between, right? But I grew up with this movie. This was one of those movies where I watched it on VHS and on cable. It has a soft spot in my heart, so I had to pick it up, man. And that is none other than Congo, baby. Yes, indeed, I had to pick this thing up, man. Look at this. Interesting front. Love the back with the lasers. That's really cool, man. And on the inside, because it's got the magnetic strip there on the inside. Look at that, man. Gorgeous. Like Amy right there and the volcano going off. That's cool. That is awesome, man. And on the inside, ooh, look at that. Oh, that's cool, man. Look at that on the inside. That is awesome. And then, of course, you get the always reliable booklet, which we know and love from Vinegar Syndrome. Ooh, all the articles and pictures, very nice. And then the slipcover. The slip is kind of interesting. Very kind of cartoonish. Kind of has a different vibe than what the movie actually is. It's not bad in person. It looked a little bit more weirder online. Looks alright, just definitely an odd one. That's for sure, man. Oh, definitely for sure indeed. And okay, this is not the best like sort of 90s sci-fi action adventure movie, okay? It's simply not. I mean, if you're comparing apples to oranges, this is nowhere near Jurassic Park, okay? It doesn't even touch its dinosaur shit. Alright, it doesn't, I'll be honest with you. But I will admit to you guys that I like the idea of the apes. I like the actors in here. And when I watched it when I was younger, I really didn't have any idea of the actors at the time that were in this thing, right? It wasn't until really later on when I was really getting way more into film and I was hearing about names of Bruce Campbell and Laura Linney and Tim Curry and so on and so forth, Ernie Hudson, and you really started to put names with faces, and you're like, man, this cast is stacked. And it is a really solid cast with, I think, a really solid premise, of course based on the novel, and the novel is really great as well. Ooh, love that reverse artwork, man. The theatrical is so good. Can't be beat, man. Come on. And I thought it was thrilling enough. I like the action, the erupting volcano. It was cool for the time, man. It was actually really great. Really dig it. More of the laser love. It was rock solid, man. And yet at the same time, it is one of those kind of forgettable movies where you kind of remember when somebody brings it up and says, oh, Congo, and you're like, oh yeah, the one with the apes and all the crazy things, and you know, the don't eat my sesame cake. You know, you start to remember it, but it's one of those movies that it kind of like sticks in the back of your mind and then comes back up when somebody actually reminds you of it, but it's not something that you readily remember, like, just as easily. It's not one of those movies that is something that you remember right on a dime. It's just not. It's not a Jurassic Park. It's not any of those adventure movies. And yet at the same time, I think a lot of us who grew up with it, myself included, would consider this a really great nostalgic trip. And I never had the DVD, I never had the Blu-ray or anything like that, man. So the fact that Vinegar Syndrome is putting this out on 4K, I knew it had to be a must-buy for me, man. And going to revisit this movie again is going to be wild and awesome. And I have a feeling that I'm going to love it all over again. Cheesy as it is. And yeah, there's a lot of cheese in this thing. It's still going to be one of those really great revisits that I'm really happy that I have in 4K, even though the cover is kind of... Let's not split hairs. When I saw this cover at first, I thought somebody jizzed on the ape's face. Okay? I'm just being honest, okay? That's what I thought. Can you really blame me? Come on, man. You really can't. But now looking at it, I kind of like the design and the look of it. It's just... one thing is weird, man. That one thing is weird. But outside of that one thing, to say that they put out a movie like Congo is kind of weird. Vinegar Syndrome and sort of blockbuster action cinema doesn't exactly go hand in hand, but I think Congo deserves the love. It's not the best, it's not the greatest, it's not necessarily top tier. Fun, entertaining, nostalgic, yes. And, well, for, sign languaging apes and volcano action, it's hard to beat. And last, but certainly not least, this one came out of left field. But, damn! I knew I had to get it. And I think over 12,000 people happened to agree with me in The Keep. Oh, baby, baby, baby. Yes! Finally getting this bad boy in the collection. And what a great way to do it, man. Damn, dude. Nice. Look at this. The back. Opening this up. Of course, you got another one of those wonderful Vinegar Syndrome booklets. Very nice. And of course, on the inside, love it, love it, love it. Nice. This movie, man, talk about a movie that has had so much debates over the years and is one of those films that is immediately unique and interesting because of the history of it. And I think you can almost say the history is almost damn near as fascinating as the movie itself, because this is a movie that Michael Mann directed. And Michael Mann was very young in his career when he made this movie. And he set out, based off of the book, wanting to make this, 3-hour epic, man. And what happened with studio meddling and a lot of studio politics that happens from time to time, everything just went wrong. And he just had a terrible time making this movie, and it just got butchered all to hell. And I think it just left a really bad taste in Michael Mann's mouth, and just never, ever really wanted to even try to revisit this thing. Just, there was no way. And on top of that, I just think he just felt like he went on to do other great things in his career. This thing was a misstep, and that's what it was, and it just is something that he never really wanted to deal with ever again. Oh, look at that. The original artwork's so nice, man. So nice. You gotta love it. And so he kind of almost thought that this movie was going to be forgotten by history more than anything else. No one's ever really going to talk about the Keep ever again. I mean, why would they? But what he never understood is that film lovers like you and I, we eat this shit up, man. We eat this shit for breakfast, okay? We love this kind of stuff, man. Troubled production histories and unique movies and what they could have been and the potentials of them and sort of the long lost footage, right? And could it ever be resurrected? And the idea that this movie has never really gotten a lot of great physical media love. It got a DVD, I think, in Australia many, many years ago, and that, I believe, was out of print. And so it was going for big money on eBay. And so this was in absolute purgatory hell. And it just was never going to get a good edition. Michael Mann has basically disavowed this thing. And so you just felt like there was never ever going to be a great edition of The Keep. Then along comes Vinegar Syndrome, and they prove us otherwise, and I'm damn glad that they did. And look, I know people are going to be disappointed because we don't have deleted scenes with this release. We don't have a long-lost 3-hour cut of this epic movie that I think people were really anticipating and wanting. And you got to understand something, guys, that back in the day, studios aren't what it is now. With digital and physical media, you keep a lot of deleted scenes, you put them on the Blu-rays, you put them on the 4Ks, you put them on streaming platforms and online. Back in the day, no one ever thought of that. No one ever really said, oh God, we gotta save all of the deleted footage for a future home video release. Nobody ever thought about that. They could have given a shit. And especially when this movie came out and didn't do jack squat at the box office, they could have cared less, man. And so the footage is most likely gone. Michael Mann has pretty much said that as well. And so there's never ever going to be deleted scenes or a new long lost edition that's going to add extra scenes on to the movie. I'd love it, man. I really would. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Now, never say never. Maybe one day, who knows? The physical media gods, the movie gods could praise us with some very unique material. But I don't think that's really going to go down, man. And the movie itself is a very fascinating failure. Because the idea of the Germans going into this crypt and releasing this Hebrew or Jewish entity demon that kills Nazis, like, as a Jew myself, I highly approve. But there's so many different storylines and characters and moments in this movie that is so quick. And things that just happen on a dime that are unexplained, or things that don't get enough time, or characters that just pop in and out of nowhere. And you can kind of follow the movie, but there's moments that don't make sense and plot holes. But it's a fascinating movie. The acting is really fantastic. A young Ian McKellen here who does a really great job. Gabriel Byrne and many, many others. Scott Glenn, who is great in this film, even though... what's his whole deal? You know what I'm saying, man? It's a kind of a conundrum of a movie. It's well shot. It's well acted. You could tell there's something really deep going on with this movie, but because it got butchered and cut all to ribbons, we're never going to really know what the true intention of Michael Mann as a filmmaker was going to be with this movie. We just have this film to go off of, this hour-and-a-half flick, which kind of feels shortchanged to us. Because, well, it kind of is. But there's the bare bones of something that is really unique and really creative and really wickedly cool, man. I mean, just the idea of the golem itself and how the stronger it gets and the more Nazis it kills, it's regaining its power and its strength and its skin. And I love the look of it. It's so striking. Even though we don't see much of it, it's really... I just think that the design is really awe-inspiring and really, really cool, man. And it just feels like just when you really are really getting with this thing, just when you really are engaging with this, it just ends and you're like, damn, dude. So this is a movie that I do enjoy, and revisiting it that I did on streaming recently before I got this release really confirmed that for me, that I do really like this movie. And even though it's not a perfect movie, not even close, and there's a lot of problems with this movie, you can see the intentions, you can see where they were trying to go with this movie, and you can see the potential. Even though the potential is ultimately lost, you can see it, and it's there, and I do really appreciate this movie. And I'm not the only one, guys, because this release, okay, Vinegar Syndrome had this limited release for 12,000 copies. I got my copy in early. Okay, I did. And I never once in a million years thought that 12,000 copies were just gonna go. Right? It's the Keep. I never thought the Keep was as monumental of a release as what it ultimately ended up becoming. Because this thing, guys, holy shit. This thing, I couldn't believe it. The moment you blinked, like thousands of copies were already out the door and it was gone. And I was just absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe the fact that over 12,000 people literally just in the blink of an eye, boom, man, and it's sold and it's gone. That was crazy. That was ridiculous. And I just didn't really believe that it was as highly anticipated as what it became. And I think it's because this movie has just been robbed of such a great physical media release for so long. And it's such an infamous movie. And when you put two and two together, and you have Vinegar Syndrome, that's a company that people really eyeball what they're going to be putting out, and the anticipation of the event, of the reveals and the releases, it's the perfect combination. And it all came together in the right ways, man, and it really did. And so I'm glad I got my copy, man, because I can only imagine what it is going to be like on the second-hand market, what it's going to be like on eBay, trying to get this copy with the hard box. That is going to be insane. Okay, I don't even know. I don't even want to look, man. I can only imagine 200, and that's at the minimum. Okay, that's fucking wild, dude. I'm not selling my copy. I'm happy with the Keep. Flaws and all, it definitely deserves its place in the collection, and I'm damn glad to have it, man. And this is the story of Hollywood. This is the story of a young filmmaker who has a lot of promise and a lot of talent, wants to make something really unique to the genre, and basically the studio says, fuck you. It's happened to many filmmakers before him, happened to many filmmakers after him, It's a sad tale that has really no end in sight. Trust me, guys. It's a tale as old as time, and The Keep is just one of those many, many stories. But finally getting a really fantastic physical media release, that is well worth the tale being told. No doubt about it, man. And thank you to Vinegar Syndrome, because this is so good, man. Indeed it is. And even though I only got 3 releases, I got Looking for Mr. Goodbar, Congo, and The Keep, I thought that was enough for me. There was a lot of other really great releases, Sliver, and a few other ones that came out. Certain 50% off stuff, but nothing that really piqued my fancy necessarily. I just wanted these 3 releases, and I'm damn glad to get them, man. What did you get from Vinegar Syndrome, man? Did you pick up anything? Did you take advantage of the deals? New releases that you got? Because these are very well worth the money spent. My wallet was hurting a wee bit, but I think it will recover. I think it will indeed, man. Definitely let me know what you guys got, and make sure to stay tuned for part 2, because if you thought Vinegar Syndrome was the only company that I bought from, you are sadly mistaken.